itself and communicating and sharing generously with each different tree and fruit what was needed. And then he started walking me through why there was even a need for predators in the world, because cattle, if they didn't move, they would ruin the soil and the plant life that was there, but because they keep moving, they fertilize different sections, but they don't stay in the same place and eat where they fertilize, because that would disease them. And he said, because really in nature, nothing is wasted. And then we were at this EG conference in Carmel, and we're listening to a lot of photojournalists and a lot of researchers who study different animals and different domains of the world, from those who dive into 40 below degree oceans and swim where the polar bears and the sea lions are, and it was just extraordinary. And then others who go out into the jungles and study orangutans. And one of the things that I noticed was that there was an orangutan who died, and they caught it in the last moments of its life. And then they left it there and came back 2 weeks later, and there was nothing left but bone, because an entire orangutan had been eaten. And the scientist was explaining in nature, nothing is wasted. And he started wondering, how is it possible that you have an ocean that doesn't pollute with all that life in it? I mean, it seems to me like fish and crustaceans, and they're all pooping. They're eating each other and doing life. And you ever notice that wherever humans are, we end up just destroying things? I mean, we create our own versions of ghettos, and we walk through neighborhoods and there's trash everywhere, and we walk down Hollywood Boulevard, we think, what is wrong with us as human beings? We're called tourists. But why is it that when nature just operates in its proper order, nothing is wasted? And I started noticing that whatever we do as humans that is natural is somehow always organically integrated into creation. And I started thinking about God and how when we connect ourselves with God, when we find ourselves once again in a proper relationship to the creator of the universe, we strangely find ourselves not only in a proper relationship to creation, but to each other. And what I saw so quickly was when God is a part of our lives, nothing is wasted.
Amen, amen.
I want you to just step into a moment in the life of Moses, because here's a person, you ever feel like your life has been wasted? No. How about some of your life?
Yeah.
How about way too many minutes of your life? How about so many minutes of your life that your life feels like it's wasted? See, I know I've been in that place in my life where I've looked back and I wondered to myself, have I done what I needed to do? Have I lived the life I was created to live? Have I given myself and left nothing undone? Nothing wasted? And yet I look back and think, oh, if I could just have that year back. You ever wanted a year back?
Yeah.
You know, the older you get, I wanted a decade back. Musically, I wanted the 90s back.
Amen.
I have made choices in my life that have cost me time.
Yeah, that's right.
Choices in my life that have cost me momentum. Choices in my life that have cost me. And I think a huge part of it sometimes is that if you make enough mistakes, you're always running through life trying to catch up for what you've lost and losing what you could have.
Wow, that's good.
In Acts chapter 7, Stephen, in his one and only message, takes a moment and talks about the life of Moses, and I want to just focus on this, beginning in verse 20. It says, at that time that Moses was born, we'll talk about what time he was born. At that time, Moses was born, and he was no ordinary child. For 3 months, he was cared for by his family. When he was placed outside, Pharaoh's daughter took him and brought him up as her own son. Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. When Moses was 40 years old, he decided to visit his own people, the Israelites. He saw one of them being mistreated by the Egyptians, so he went to his defense and avenged him by killing the Egyptian. Moses thought that his own people would realize that God was using him to rescue them, but they did not. The next day, Moses came upon two Israelites who were fighting. He tried to reconcile them by saying, men, you are brothers. Why do you want to hurt each other? But the man who was mistreating the other pushed Moses aside and said, Who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday?" When Moses heard this, he fled to Midian, where he settled as a foreigner and had 2 sons. After 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to Moses in the flames of a burning bush in the desert near Mount Sinai. When he saw this, he was amazed at the sight. As he went over to get a closer look, he heard the Lord say, "I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob." Moses trembled with fear and did not dare to look. Then the Lord said to him, "Take off your sandals, for the place where you are standing is holy ground. I have indeed seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their groaning and have come down to set them free. Now come, I will send you back to Egypt." This is the same Moses. They had rejected the words, "Who made you ruler and judge?" He was sent to be their ruler and deliverer by God himself through the angel who appeared to him in the bush. He led them out of Egypt and performed wonders and signs in Egypt, at the Red Sea, and for 40 years in the wilderness. This is the Moses who told the Israelites, "God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your own people." I am really, in many ways, emotionally reflective when I think of the life of Moses, because so much of what Moses went through are so many things that in my own life I felt I've gone through. I think that for so many of us, the story of Moses really resonates. Not so much that he actually becomes the founder of a nation, but that his beginning was so inauspicious and unexpected. But when Moses was born, it says he was born at a time that was unexpected. And the story right before that tells us that there was a Pharaoh who did not know Joseph. He did not remember how God had blessed Egypt through Israel. He did not know how God had blessed Egypt through all the people of God. And so he became angry and bitter because God had blessed them so much. And Moses was born when the Pharaoh decided to kill all the firstborn sons of the people, of the Hebrew people. And so he was born at a terrible time in history. Have you ever felt like you were born at a disadvantage? Have you ever felt like, well, if God was really for you, why didn't he give you a better start to your life?
Amen, yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, I was in the regional finals of track and field. I was running the 110 high hurdles, and every one of us had to set our spikes, but this was a cinder track. I had never run on a cinder track in my life. I didn't really know how it all worked, and when it was my turn to run the heats were just running one after another, and you barely had time to think, much less get yourself set up. And I remember taking the pieces where you set your feet, and I didn't have time to practice on them, so I went and set my feet on them right away. And I got myself ready, and I was so terrified. And I was always afraid. Whenever I competed, my heart was pounding against my chest. And all these guys were so tall and so long. Remember when he said, "Set it," and the gun went off, everybody exploded out of the gate. And my starting block just pushed backwards, and I went falling face first into the ground. Because I didn't know that on cinder blocks, you have to nail the spikes into the ground.
Poor guy.
To secure your starting blocks. I think for so many of us, we feel like we lost it from the first step.
Oh, that's true.
I think for a lot of us, we feel like there's no way we can ever win this race, whatever race we're in.
Yeah.
You're never going to be everything you should have been. You're never going to accomplish everything you hope to accomplish. You're never going to see your dreams come to fruition because you lost from the very first step. And that's why the opening line, "At this time Moses was born," was so significant, because Moses was born into a huge disadvantage. And so if you think you start the race losing from the first step, then look at the life of Moses, because I want you to know that with God, nothing is wasted.
Amen, amen.
Yeah.
It tells us that when Moses was born, he was no ordinary child, and for 3 months, he was cared for by his family. And then he was placed outside. I think that phrase, you ever have a phrase that carries a lot more weight than it sounds like? You know, when someone says to you, "How you doing?" you know they don't want to know. Right? When you would say, "How you doing?" you go, "I'm doing great." Wouldn't it be amazing if somebody came up to you and go, "How you doing?" you go, "Man, you wouldn't believe it. My whole life is falling apart right now."
Yeah,
They
yeah.
just went through this long explanation, and they just looked at you staring, terrified, because they would have thought you understood. They didn't care. How you doing doesn't really mean anything. But when you take a phrase like this, when Moses was placed outside, it has so much depth and so much meaning. In just 4 words, what it's telling us is that Moses was completely displaced. His world was falling apart. Around him was a world of violence and danger, of oppression, of racism. When Moses was placed outside, he was left there to die. When Moses was placed outside, he was abandoned by his family. When Moses was placed outside, his family decided that it was safer for him to be floating down a river as an infant than to be protected by his father and mother. When Moses was placed outside, that was the beginning of his death, not the beginning of his life, in their mind. When Moses was placed outside, that became the predictor of his future. Moses remained an outsider all of his life. Have you ever felt like you just never found your way in? Moses lived his entire life as an outsider. He was raised by the Egyptians, but he was never an Egyptian. He was always a Hebrew, and he was always a Hebrew, but he was never a Hebrew because he wasn't raised by them. Moses was always an outsider, a stranger in a strange land. When Moses was placed outside, Pharaoh's daughter took him and brought him up as his own son. Now this is the Pharaoh's daughter whose father commanded the assassination of all of Moses' people that were his generation. He's being raised by the very man who wanted him dead. Wow, you thought you had family problems. Nothing wasted with God.
Amen.
Every wound you bear will be used by God to make you stronger.
Yes.
See, when you look at Moses' life, you go, God, why would you let this happen? I mean, God, if you knew that this was the man you were going to choose, this is the person you're going to choose to elevate your people out of slavery and set them free and establish a nation, if you knew this is the man that you were going to choose to change the course of humanity's future, why wouldn't you protect him? Have you ever wondered, God, why didn't you show up in my life?
Yes.
God, why weren't you there? Why didn't you protect me from that, God? Why didn't you give me a different life? You may think that your life has been wasted because you're so broken, you have so many wounds, you have so much pain, you have so many memories of that haunt you at night, but I want you to know that with God, nothing is wasted.
Amen.
And every wound you have ever borne, everything you've ever suffered, every pain that you've ever experienced will not be wasted if you hand it over to God.
Thank you, Father. Thank you, Father. Thank you, Jesus. Praise your name, Lord.
You can applaud that.
He's getting caught up. He's catching up.
That God will allow us to be placed outside. Because so oftentimes when God needs women and men who understand what it's like to be on the outside looking in.
Yes.
He needs men and women who understand what it's like to be displaced, what it's like to be isolated, what it's like to be alone, what it's like to be abandoned. See, God needs women and men who understand what it's like to be filled with pain and brokenness, to be filled with wounds and scars. Because how in the world will you ever set a world free unless you understand their wounds? Nothing wasted with God.
Oh,
every wound you bear.
Praise your name, Lord.
And if you get a hold of this, it'll give you the strength to forgive.
Yes, yes.
Well, one of the things that I noticed was really omitted in the life of Moses is that there is no story in Moses' life of his intent to retaliate.
That's right.
He never goes back to Egypt to get even. He never has any intention in his life to go back and find a vehicle to express his anger and bitterness. You ever been so angry but you don't have anyone to be angry with? So you just pick someone? Yeah, yesterday we were leaving Carmel. We were going to the Monterey airport, and I had it all timed out because we're going to get home at 11, and I was going to go to my first LAFC soccer match. I was so excited. I missed the first one because I was in Australia, so this was going to be my first one. And right when we're getting to the airport, we get a notice, your plane is delayed an hour.
No.
It's not leaving at 9:30, it's leaving at 10:30. They'll get in at 12, okay, I can still make it. I can have the guys meet me, I can Uber over there, I can find a way, I'm not going to miss my match. So Kim and I decided to go get breakfast, so we'll go get breakfast, and we get to the airport at 9:20. And all of a sudden, while we're outside of the airport, outside of security, we get an update. Your plane is now leaving at 9:40. Now, the 9:40 update came at 9:22. I know that because I had it on my phone and I took a photograph of it.
Yeah.
And so I'm running, come on, Kim, those small legs, run! And so, we're trying to get security, we're trying to get through my plane. I get on that plane. He goes, I'm sorry, sir, but the door's already closed. He says, it's right there. He goes, open the door. I'm sorry, we can't. But you said the plane was going to leave at 10:30. Yes, but we gave an update. Yes, you just gave an update 9 minutes ago. You closed the door at the same time that you gave an update. I got a little bit upset. I got a little animated.
That's a good way of putting it.
And I was so angry, but I had this little thought. This poor kid has no power.
Right, that's right.
He can't do anything. He's just standing behind the counter wondering why he's working at United. I was so mad. And he couldn't understand why I was mad. I couldn't even understand why I was mad. I was just mad.
Yeah.
I just walked away.
Yeah.
And I went in the corner.
Yes, I get
so
it.
mad.
Yeah.
Threw my bag on a chair. I want to do something physical. I'm going to admit this. I went over to just kicked this chair. It was a stationary chair. I couldn't hurt it. The kid's like, Erwin, come down. He probably knows who I am. He probably watches Mosaic on the podcast. I'll take care of it. And I walk in, she goes, well, honey, 34-1. What's that? 34 years, I've never seen you lose your temper. I won.
Oh.
I didn't lose my temper. I contained my temper. So angry, and I felt powerless to do anything about it, and I knew the person who was sitting on the other side was powerless to do anything about it. You know what I noticed about Moses? He didn't waste any of his energy trying to go back and make someone pay the price for what he lost. Sometimes I just want someone to pay for what I've gone through. But you see, if you realize that nothing is wasted with God, then you'll know that every wound you bear will be used by God as material to make you a better you.
Amen.
I think a lot of times people wonder, and people ask me, well, how do you get those insights on people? How do you get insights on humanity? You know
Holy
why?
Spirit.
Because I know what it's like to be an outsider. See, I think if you've been an insider all of your life, you don't understand the nuances of life.
That's true.
The way a person who's been an outsider is. When you're on the outside looking in, you understand injustice. When you're on the outside looking in, you understand inequity. When you're on the outside looking in, you understand what it's like to not belong. When you're on the outside looking in, you always understand what it's like to feel like you're the stranger in the street.
Yes.
But it goes on, it says that in verse 22, Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians and was powerful in speech and action. See, with God, nothing is wasted.
It's true.
Every wound you bear, everything you've suffered, every moment of pain you've ever had, God's going to use that to make you a stronger you. To make you the person He needs you to be for the challenges ahead of you.
Good.
But every skill you've learned, everything you've ever learned will be used by God. Because here it says Moses was educated in all the wisdom of the Egyptians. I'm thinking, talk about a wasted education. Why be educated in the wisdom of the Egyptians if God is going to use you to establish the nation of Israel? I mean, doesn't it seem like that's a wasted education? You ever felt like you're studying the wrong thing? I mean, I meet a lot of people. You know, I studied medicine, but now I'm a painter. I'm like, okay. I was at MIT as a scientist. Now I'm a photographer. I met people like that. But wow, I have a law degree, but now I sell real estate.
Wow.
A lot of times, what you were educated to do and what you ended up doing don't seem to match. And I think sometimes what we don't realize is that the skills that you've received, the learning, the education that you've attained in your life is not wasted. And maybe a part of what you need to realize is that God purposely allowed you to get educated by the Egyptians because you need that wisdom to create the new for His own people. No one could have ever understood that God was preparing Moses to be the leader of a nation. No wonder He put him in the house of a leader of a nation. Moses didn't realize, and Pharaoh certainly didn't realize. Can you imagine being Pharaoh? Wanting to kill every boy that's a Hebrew. Wanting Moses dead. Can you imagine what Pharaoh would have done if he realized that God had actually put Moses in his house so that Pharaoh could mentor him to teach him how to lead a nation? I remember when I came to faith, I had a philosophy and a psychology degree. What a waste, right? What will you ever do with a psychology degree and a philosophy degree if you're going to talk about God? What a waste. I look back and realize growing up, reading all those science fiction novels, reading Heinlein and Asimov and Norton, and realizing what a waste. And yet I look back and I realize so much of how I see reality and how I engage the world is affected by those people I was reading when I was 10. What a waste. Learning how to play chess when I was 3, 4 years old, having my grandfather tell me, I felt like it was such a waste because I couldn't go outside and play. Because I wanted to go outside and kick a ball. But since it was too dangerous in El Salvador, we had to stay inside and learn how to play chess. What a waste. But the skills that you learn, they were never an accident. Some of you have skills that you've learned in the business world. You've learned, and you don't even know how much God needs what you've learned to advance his purpose and his kingdom. Maybe you've been discounting what you know and not understanding the value of how God wants to use it for his purpose.
Yes.
Moses was educated by the Egyptians. When I came to faith, and a lot of you kind of know this experience, when I came to faith, they told me, you got to get rid of all your books. I got rid of all my philosophy books. So you got to get rid of all your albums. I get rid of all my Beatles and Stones. And I want them back so bad. And I was essentially told all the years I spent studying Aristotle and Socrates and Plato, all the years I studied Locke and Hume and Descartes, all those years reading Thoreau's Walden over and over again, all that was a waste. Now I need to get that out of my brain so that I can make my brain biblical by just reading the Bible. But you know what I've come to realize is that that's not the way God thinks. God is more than willing, and in fact, he leverages you gaining the wisdom of the Egyptians so that you can fulfill his purpose.
Yes, amen, amen.
All learning is good learning.
Yes, it is.
When you learn how to learn, when you learn how to think. He became powerful in speech and action. He developed the skills for his future without even understanding what his future would be. Wow. Is it possible that God is taking you, not only taking your wounds and your pain, not only taking the brokenness inside of you, but taking your intelligence, your skills, your education, and he's trying to fuse all of that together so you can see nothing is wasted.
Right, amen.
He wants to do something powerful in your life going forward. Moses was 40 years old. He decided to visit his own people, the Israelites. And we saw one of them being mistreated by an Egyptian. He went to his defense and avenged him by killing the Egyptian. I think the next line is so interesting. Verse 25. Moses thought that his own people would realize that God was using him to rescue them, but they did not. You know why? Because God didn't want him to kill the Egyptian. That's why. Moses was so broken. His character was so skewed that he thought killing the Egyptian was the right thing to do. And one of the weird ways that we read the Bible is whenever we read one of the heroes doing something bad, we pretend it's good. You ever notice that? Oh, he's the good guy, so that must be okay. No, that wasn't okay. When Moses killed the Egyptian, it wasn't okay. And you know how I know it wasn't okay? Because Moses knew it wasn't okay. Because the next day it tells us, he came up on 2 Israelites who were fighting. And they tried to reconcile them by saying, man, you are brothers. Why do you want to hurt each other? But the man who was mistreating the other pushed Moses aside and said, who made you ruler and judge over us? Are you thinking of killing me as you killed the Egyptian yesterday? Boy, Moses didn't even feel guilty until he got caught. Then Moses heard this. He fled to Midian and he ran for his life. See, Moses knew what he did was wrong. Not only that, he knew there was a consequence to his action, and he ran for his life. Have you ever felt like your life has been wasted because you've made some terrible choices? See, sometimes I think we feel like our life is being wasted because we're just too broken. I want you to know you're not too broken for God to do some healing in your life. And not only healing in your life, but healing through your life.
Yes.
And sometimes I think we oh man, I just wasted my life learning the wrong stuff. I wish I had gone back to school, learned something else. I want you to know, everything you've learned, God wants to use that. God has an incredible economy where he will take everything you've ever learned and use it to reach people that only you could reach.
Right.
But sometimes I think it's just our failures, mistakes we've made, the sins we've committed. You ever just felt like your soul was too dark? Your soul was too skewed, your character was just too broken? We shouldn't be surprised that Moses was so damaged he thought killing this Egyptian was okay. That's what he grew up with. That's who Pharaoh was. The way Pharaoh would solve his problems is kill whoever he didn't like. Kill whoever didn't agree with him. Kill whoever offended him. Moses had learned not only the wisdom of the Egyptians, but he had learned the ways of the Egyptians. And so he killed this Egyptian, and then he got caught. And he ran for his life, and he ran for 40 years. There's no way of escaping that when you make a destructive decision in your life, it costs you some time. You ever experienced that? It costs you some time. And it's not that God doesn't forgive you. It's not that God isn't ready to create something new with you. It's that the momentum of your choices in the past, they'll carry for a while. And have you ever felt like you were being measured by the choices you've made in the past and not the person you've become now?
Yes, that's true.
It's so frustrating, isn't it?
Yes.
But I begin to realize that the only way to escape your past is to create a different future. Because Moses ran for his life, and he ran for 40 years, but it's only when God sent him back that Moses actually discovered he was a different man. Because while he was running, he didn't know he had changed. And I wonder how many of us here have made these decisions in our lives, have just made destructive choices in our lives, and thought, that's it. God can never use me again. I'm on the shelf now. There's no way God could do something amazing through my life. And I look at Moses' life, and I realize that it's not God who runs from us in our worst moments. It is us who run from God in our worst moments.
That's true.
So if you find yourself in a moment where you're just reeling because of the choices you've made, your instinct is going to be to run, run, run. I just want to encourage you to lean in and let God take a hold of you.
Right.
Because when you've made the worst choices in your life, even with all the consequences of those decisions, God will not abandon you.
Amen. Amen.
So Moses ran for his life. And I think this next line is so telling, where he settled as a foreigner. See, I think that phrase is really telling, where he settled. See, I think so many times the consequences of our worst decisions is not that we always stay a horrible person. It's not that we always continue making that bad choice. It's that we settle for a lesser life than the life God created us to live.
Wow, that's good.
That you let that little voice get in your head that says, you did this. Now you are no longer qualified to live the life God created you to live. You made that decision. You made that choice. You did that. So now God's going to condemn you to a lesser life. He'll never forgive you. He'll never help you get past it. You're stuck in the worst moment of your life. But I want you to know, if Moses was not stuck in the worst moment of his life, you do not have to be stuck in the worst moment of your life.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
Nothing is wasted with God. If you mess up, if you blow it, yes, if you sin against God and against people, you don't have to be defined by that. You do not have to be trapped in that. You can actually go to God. And it tells us in the scriptures that if we confess our sins, that he is faithful and just to forgive us of our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness.
Amen. Amen.
God wants to create a new future for you. Because with God, nothing is wasted. Every time you fail, it's just God's opportunity to show you how incredibly creative he is with his mercy and grace.
Right. That's good.
I think it's interesting that one of the most undignified things in the world is what we call waste. Right? Because, when we poop, that's called waste. But what people didn't realize is that when cows poop, that waste is actually fertilizer. And I think a lot of us, we're just trying to hide our waste and pretend we don't have any, rather than to trust God to turn it into fertilizer. Every failure in your life will be a waste until you turn it over to God and allow Him to turn it into the fertilizer that actually brings nutrients and life to the harvest yet to come, which is your future.
Yeah.
Then, of course, you know the end of the story. Verse 30, after 40 years had passed. Wow, I don't want to wait that long. After 40 years had passed, an angel appeared to Moses in the flames of a burning bush in the desert near Mount Sinai. When he saw this, he was amazed at the sight. As he went over to get a closer look, he heard the Lord say, I am the God of your fathers, the God of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob. 3 men who made mistakes in their lives. Moses trembled with fear and did not dare to look. Then the Lord said to him, take off your sandals, for the place where you're standing is holy ground. I have indeed seen the oppression of my people in Egypt. I have heard their groaning and have come down to set them free. I love the next line. Now come, I will send you back to Egypt. It's almost as if God is saying, Moses, do you remember the moment where you lost your destiny, where you lost your future, where you lost your way, where you ran for your life? You know, that moment where the next 40 years of your life led you to wander in a wilderness. I want you to go back to that very place. I want you to go back to that very moment, because with God, nothing is wasted. And every moment of your life that you thought was wasted, God is holding on to that moment to show you He can get you past that moment. He's not trying to hide that moment. He's literally making Moses face that moment.
Right.
Now come, I will send you back to Egypt. I love the next line. This is the same Moses. That's the miracle. This is the same Moses that was born into such wounding and suffering. This is the same Moses that was born into violence and oppression. This is the same Moses who had all these wounds and scars, who didn't know who he was. This is the same Moses who was raised in the ways of the Egyptian, powerful in speech and action. This is the same Moses who killed the Egyptian soldier. This is the same Moses whose life looked like it was wasted. This is the same Moses who looked like he lost his future. This is the same Moses who seemed to have lost his destiny. This is that same Moses.
Amen. Amen.
This is the same Moses that rejected with the words, who made you ruler and judge? He was sent to be the ruler and deliverer by God Himself, through the angel who appeared to him in the bush. He led them out of Egypt and performed wonders and signs in Egypt and the Red Sea, and for 40 years in the wilderness. This is the Moses who told the Israelites, God will raise up for you a prophet like me from your own people. This is that same Moses whose life looked completely wasted. But with God, nothing is wasted.
Amen. Amen.
Nothing is wasted. Every wound you bear, God's going to use that. Everything you've ever learned, every skill you've learned, every path that you thought got you off track, God's going to use that to teach you, to make you who you need to become.
Yeah.
Every time you failed, every time you messed up, every time you made a wrong choices, every time you sinned, God's just going to take all the waste and turn it into fertilizer if you
Wow.
And every moment you've wasted, every moment that you've run, every moment of your life that you spent running from God, God has spent running after you. I love how God confronts Moses in the wilderness, but here's even how strategic God is. He lets Moses wander around in the wilderness for 40 years. Moses doesn't know, even those 40 years of wandering, God was teaching him so he could lead the people of Israel during their 40 years of wandering. Who would have ever guessed that Moses was in the university of the creator of the universe?
Wow.
Moses says, you're going to run, and you're going to run in the wilderness. I'm just going to use this as a way to prepare you to lead my people when they're going through the great wilderness. Is it possible that God is so good and so creative and so clever that even everything that, quote, you're going through is just God trying to get something into you too?
Right.
And no matter how many choices you make to run from God, God will use everything in your running as the material to use your life in such a beautiful way when you return to Him. What we see with Moses is with God, nothing is wasted. Everything about who you are, everything you've ever been through, every success, every failure, every moment of celebration, every moment of disappointment, every moment of laughter, and every tear you've ever shed, there's nothing wasted with God. What He wants you to do is to trust Him with your life. To let Him be the one who redeems your past, to create a beautiful and extraordinary future. There's some of you here, God is waiting for you to give Him all of who you are. To give Him your fears and your doubts, to give Him your wounds and your scars, to give Him your skills, to give Him your intelligence and education. God has been waiting for you to take everything that you are and everything you've been through and to lay it at His feet. You say, God, I don't know how you can use my life. I don't know how you can use all of this. I don't know how you can use any of this, God. But if you think anything I am and everything I have is of value for your purpose, then I'm yours. I wonder if that's the decision, that's a choice you need to make today. God, everything I am, everything I've been through, everything I have is yours. Would you just bow your heads with me just for a moment?